So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. This is a safe place for all of us women to come and share our stories and collaborate through, learning from a different host each week. And we're so grateful to have Coach Sandra, to be our
Yeah,
presenter this morning. And her topic is Speak Up with Confidence. So we're all looking forward to that subject. And thank you for all of you for joining us. So with that, Sandra, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your background and why you decided to choose this topic.
that's great. Thank you so much, everyone. I've gotten out to this group a few times since Kasia said, Sandra, you got to go meet these ladies. And I just love your group. I'm so grateful. So I'm coming back as often as I can. But I am
Great.
Coach Sandra, Compassionate Queen of Straight Talk. Well, how did I get to be that? I'm an old fart. And the beauty of this much age is also that much wisdom, where I actually get to look back and see the changes. I'm finding now that when I look back, I'm looking back by decades. I'm going more and more and more back to my childhood to understand, what did I learn as a child? What decisions did I make as a child in my brain? And what did I live by even until today? Now, have I gone back to examine those decisions I made as a child? Yes, I've been peeling back and back and back, but I think for so many people, we forget to go back and look and see what's operating in our system. What is that core belief? I mean, just recently, like 1 month, in this last month, I've broken through the ageism mindset. Now here's something for you. 2 young guys thinking I'm pretty hot. And my brain says, no, I mean, they just want me to, teach English, or they want me to do. No, they said, when we're talking about hearts, we don't care about age. And these young people are teaching me that age is not a factor in what is love or being together. And I'm blowing my bloody mind. Every day I'm blowing my mind. And I think that is the gift that I've been given in this life, to always be curious. And I'm an adventurer. I've traveled all over the world. I'm always jumping in, trying something new. But strangely, here I am, 40 years in the financial business. So it is true that we can have a long life career and still be an adventurer and curious as we go. So going back to my childhood, I grew up on the farm, just a little farm, actually just north of where I live. I was born in Belleville, and I grew up on a farm, which is probably 40 minutes north of Belleville. I've traveled around the world. I lived in Europe for a few years with a military husband. So I'm very much a child of the universe and still rooted in my old original community. So we've got these strange pieces of ourselves that are really, as I look at them now, as I give more reflection, are the magic. And every one of us has our own magic, our very own magic, made up of whatever the childhood was. For some children, I mean, they were beaten and abused and assaulted and went through hell that most of us would not ever want to even know about. I never experienced that. So when I would be in healing groups, I would always feel I shouldn't be here. I'm taking up space, so I was always making myself small. And those same abused children, adults, were saying, no, Sandra, emotional abuse is harder to come across and heal. If somebody hits me and I have a bruise, I can see it, and I can see where that happened. Whatever they do to me physically, I can see it and know where it came from. But when it's emotional and hurts your heart, now you feel less than and you shouldn't be doing, and so on. I've recently had a young woman I've met from Iraq, I believe. And I said, I was just never drawn to the Middle East. And she says, you don't even want to go, you know, she was herself. And she was just passionate about why I wouldn't want to. She had a very stressful way of growing up and basically escaped and came to Canada. So we have these beautiful tapestries of our own lives, and we make up all our stories. I certainly made up the story. I was a little country bumpkin that came up on the farm, and the street kids, you know, the town kids were really cool, and I could never quite measure up. Well, as I grew older and I got looking back, those town kids half the time didn't know how to survive. You could drop me somewhere and I would know how to survive. Oh, I really did learn a lot of things. I have another friend who's from the far north, and she said, she was always just saying, I'm just a girl from the north. I don't know anything, you know, because it was like being the farming country bumpkin. She was from the north. Like, what do you know if you're from the north and you're away from population? And she took out the word just. I am the girl from the north. I can repair a snowmobile. I can cut a tree. I can start the fires. Taking that little word out. But she's 45 or 50 or whatever she is. And so it takes us our time to start to recognize our own strength and knowledge. And that has been critical in my own growth. And I am so happy in this decade now where I'm just authentic. You can like me or not like me. That's going to be the fact of the world. And my own people will find me. And that, for me, Val, would be attracting the people that want somebody who's just kind of out there. I'm not in anybody's box. So I'm not a good babysitter. If you want to learn about communication, I'm going to be straightforward. That's my straight talk. It will be compassionate, but it'll be quick and dirty. You're going to get on your feet and you're going to get this piece by piece by piece quickly. And that's my style, and I don't have to apologize for it anymore. I was just in a program yesterday with Michael Lozier, who does emotion code and releasing trapped emotions. And I've been with him a few times now in his webinars. And he said, Sandra, what's been changing for you? I said, oh my God, I've broken through ageism, racism at this age. I mean, I don't feel I was ever a racist because it's not in me. I'd just never seen Black people because we didn't have any. We had Dutch people. They were white like us in our community. I mean, you know, it's all just nonsense. But now I broke through so many things. And I said, I'm wonky. Like, people don't ever know what to do with me. There's Sandra, you know, roll your eyes or let's go, whichever way it's going to be. And he says, that's what you're owning. And that's what you're leading with. And it's your own uniqueness that makes you who you are. And that's what you're going to take to your business. And the people that want people who are a little out of the box, that are bold, that are adventurous, are real, they're going to find you. Those are your people. You let the rest go. And it's okay. So I grew up on the farm, got married 20, and didn't have my first baby till 24, but she was just 15 months old when we got transferred to Europe for 3.5 years, and I had my son there. So I had my first adventures of going to another country. And that was a Dutchman. Now, I'd grown up with Dutch people. I married a Dutchman. And he had family still in Holland. So we got to travel around a little bit. But we never had a lot of money. But they would, you know, our friends would say, oh, you Valkses, you always have money. Well, that's because I had always budgeted even when I was a little kid. It was just a natural thing. I was an entrepreneur when I was 7 years old, going selling liquor-made door to door in the country. That graduated to 25-cent necklaces, and then eventually the Regal greeting cards catalog and so on. But in Europe, yeah, the friends would say, oh, you Valkses, you always got money. Well, we didn't go out for dinner every week just because we were in Europe. They would be going, well, we got to do it while we're here. Well, yeah, that's going to take a lot of your money up. What are you going to do? So we would go maybe every 6 weeks. We traveled, we camped. And we had a wonderful life. Came back, though I was a school teacher. I'd been teaching school for 4 years, came back to Canada, and there were no teaching jobs. There were more teachers than there were children in classrooms to teach in. And so when I would go and compete for a teaching job, I would have to drive 45 minutes out into a country school for half time and applied. There were 7 applications for that poor little job. And I was the only one now without university, because now they decided now you need your university, not just teachers college. And so I said, yeah, but I'm good, I'm experienced, and I don't cost as much. They didn't care. And businesses, I wanted to go and apply for a job at businesses. They said, oh, you're just a teacher, you can't make any business decisions. Like you couldn't win for losing. And then I realized the wisdom of that. There was some truth in that, because as a teacher, you're really people oriented. And so it's going to be harder to make business decisions based on here's the profit line, here's what you have to do, instead of helping people along. So that's how I went back to school for a year as an adult, to just get my confidence back. So I was the first year at the Belleville Collegiate where they had adults back in. And so I took grade 12, something or other, marketing, I guess, and grade 13, advertising, mixed in with all these high school kids. But I was 35 years old, went back to school for the year. And that has always been a big part of my life as well. Just to look back and say, I was there. I was blazing a trail because they had me speak to the school board. Why? The school board thought with us adults coming back, we should be paying school fees in the public school system. And I went and spoke to them on behalf of our adult class retraining about why no, I pay my taxes. This is a free public school system, and you need us coming in. In fact, because we adults are here, the young people are looking with their mouths open and they're behaving differently because there's mixed in adults. So we were able to produce that whole thing. And because I was taking that, I brought in a life insurance agent to give us a seminar in one of our classes. And that thus started, okay, I could do life insurance sales. My husband did not agree. He said, Sandra, why would you do life insurance? People are going to die, and then what are you going to do? I'm going to deliver a check to them. Well, there's only 3 people that people hate coming to their door: life insurance agents, Jehovah's Witnesses, and vacuum salespeople. And people aren't going to like you. I said, well, then, but even then I was resilient and still with a thin skin. I would take all that rejection and it would hurt personally, but I still had to get up and go on. So it's just life teaching me. I had so much of a protected childhood out in that country where everything was around the children and we were on stage. And even though we had our own dirty laundry at home, you learned so many things. And yet there were 40 families that you could call almost like mom and dad, you could stop in. So there's such a mixture that makes up our lives, and we need to celebrate it instead of poo-hoo and boo-hoo and carry on with the nonsense. If it was terrible, celebrating how you've overcome it. If it was wonderful, celebrating what you learned. And so out of all of that, and I've been on stage singing since I was 5 years old. So I knew how to put a mask on. It didn't matter if I was scared. I had my little smile on and I was singing my song, and I loved it on stage. I loved the stage. And so recognizing that. So over the last few decades, I've been learning to remove the mask. Here's who I am. What you see is what you get. You roll your eyes. I just say, what are you rolling your eyes at? You just wish you could do this too. I usually come back to the humor, because humor releases the conversation and lets people get over themselves. Another thing I had to do was get over the putting myself out there because, I might be imposing myself on people. And that goes with so many people that don't know how to do sales today. Well, should I follow up? Will I be pushing too hard? Will I look like I'm chasing? What is it? And yes, maybe, but that's the balance that you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And that's okay. You're going to learn how to balance that out. So what's that got to do with speaking up with confidence? Communication is something I have studied all my life, I guess, right from when I was 5 years old. How to connect with the audience, how to put a mask on, how to be looking confident, even though my little stomach was quaffering down inside. But even while it was wavering inside, it was like, oh, I love this. Handling all those emotions. So I've learned it over a lifetime. But to be able to connect with the audience and get over myself, now when I sing to anybody, they'll come to me and out of a crowd and say, oh, Sandra, you were singing right to me. You just touched my heart right there. And really, I was singing to the entire audience, but now my energy goes out to the audience. It's not about me talking at you. Hopefully, I'm not talking at you. I'm communicating with you because I can see the nods or the look on the face or, oh. And so therefore, when we're speaking, we are truly in communication. So when I'm teaching communication skills, it's not about changing who you are. You are your precious self. We want to keep your authentic self. We just want to help you release that energy so it comes up and gets shared out. So it's a sharing, not a putting yourself down thinking, oh, I didn't do that right. I didn't do that right. Oh my goodness, can I say that? Yeah, just if you wonder if you should say it, don't go there. I go to prison. I've been going to prison for 17 years now. And so when the inmates have to learn about what should they speak, well, if you're kind of wondering if you should say that or it might be a little offside, don't go there. Until you know that it's the right thing for you to say. Don't go there. Park it over there. You can deal with it and figure it out later. So they like to learn how to speak so that they're better at the parole board when it comes up time to hopefully get out of jail. But so much of our communication really needs to be ourselves, being comfortable with ourselves. If we don't know something, it's okay. Being comfortable with self. Gee, I don't know anything about that. Rainey, could you explain? And so we go out and ask, but we're still in communication at all times. And then stop and think, when somebody asks you for something, doesn't it feel wonderful? Oh my God, somebody wants to know something that I know. It feels so good. So for me to have the courage to ask and not feel stupid with a stupid question, there is no stupid question. Me, the courage to ask honors you because I'm asking and I'm getting your opinion back and the conversation is open. So much of communication is shut off because of ourselves. We really just have to be over ourselves and say, look, I'm just sharing. If you ask me for something, I've learned now because I can be pretty brutal. They used to say, Sandra, you don't need the 2x4 alongside the whack of the head. Can you soften it up a little? Oh, yes, okay. So I've had to learn, but that's been from feedback. So now I've learned, okay, now do you really, they've asked my opinion. No, you're doing a great job. Just go right ahead. No, we want to know, like, really, what do you think? Are you sure you want me to say what I'm thinking? Yes, I do. Well, I said, well, look, if I'm brutal, I say it what I see. So your job, if you're going to work with me, is that if I get too hard, a little time out, and you have to have the courage to say, Sandra, soften it up a little bit. Or what's the good stuff first? And out of that courage to speak back, because I am a strong woman. I'm not going about the world trying to knock anybody in the head. It's just who I am. But I have to be aware of that. And you have to have the courage to say, whoosh, Sandra, why don't you tell me what you really think? Okay, sorry. And come back to it. So that's communication. So when I am now really owning, feeling the whole thing, and so hard in business to find that right description of what you do, because like all of us, we have so much wisdom in so many areas and things we know. We could do 20 things, but how do we market to get down to that one thing of who we really are? That has been my challenge. And I have struggled with it because I've got 40 years of finances. I've got 30 years of Toastmasters. I've got 17 years of prison work. I've got about 15 years of alternatives to violence facilitation. Like I've got it. I'm a granny for Africa. I'm helping revive or open up a community in Africa now, in Uganda. It's just, my life is full and amazing. So I've got, I've got all these things happening, and it's so much fun that, how do I market myself? What do I bring to you? Therefore, I recognized when I was at a conference, Lisa Sasevich, she was the queen of conversion. So in the conference, 2,500 people in the audience, but we said, so how did you get to be queen? Well, she says, look, sweetheart, to the 2,500 of us sitting there, nobody gonna put a crown on your head. I put that on and I called it myself. I am the queen of conversion. Well, that's the whole thing. So she said to all of us sitting there, what are you the king of? What are you the queen of in your life? What crown are you putting on your own head? And she said, so tomorrow when you come back, I'm going to want to know that you've got what it is you're the queen of, or the king of, or the master of. So 4 of us, get this, 4, I love this story. We were in San Diego, went to the Lisa Sasevich conference, and none of us wanted to pay for a resort for 5 days on top of traveling there all by ourselves. So one of the ladies got in touch and said, is anybody interested in sharing a room? Oh, put me in for that one. Well, there were 4 of us shared one room, 2 queen beds in one room with 4 strangers. And we had such a blast. So we all get back to the room and we're saying, oh, queen of. And they all have, 3 of them have education. I still, like this was maybe 12 years ago, still feeling less than because I don't have university. Now I'm the one that doesn't have education. I chased friggin' certificates till I've had certificates up to here and I'm not getting any more. I am Coach Sandra. I don't have anybody's certificate from Proctor or somebody else. I've got 40 years of this. I've got this. Get off my back. So anyhow, I said, I don't have anything. You guys got your education. They said, Sandra, stop it right now. Stop it. You're not stupid. Just you don't have a university. Like, stop it. Oh, well, I have no idea what I'd put my crown on my head for. Your straight talk. You just talk and say it the way it is. Your direct communication. That's what you are. That's who you are. Oh, straight talk, queen of straight talk. So I wore that around for a few hours and I kind of liked that. And then later on when I came back, so I said, I'm Coach Sandra, the queen of straight talk. But then I would still approach people saying, I'm pretty, but you look, I'm pretty brutal. I had one guy I've been coaching now we're going into our 5th year. And he's very sensitive, wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think he got arrested emotionally, maybe around by 10 years old. Like, he's very sensitive. He's just never learned to take on the world emotionally. Anyhow, there he is. And he's recognized that if he wants to move forward in his speaking, he needs a Sandra. He had a gentler person earlier and she moved away. So he finally approached me and he said, Sandra, I want to check in with you with coaching and I want to pay you. And I'm thinking, I've always just done it as Toastmasters. I give everything away for free, give it away for free, give it away. No, he says, I want to pay you. Okay, so he started and he paid me now. This is, like I say, going on 5 years. But when we first started, I thought about it and would be observing him. And I said, Brian, I don't think we should work together. Really, I'm brutal. I think we hadn't better do it because I think I would hurt you and I don't want to do that. And he says, I've been thinking about that because he had kind of resisted asking me. And he said, I've been thinking about that. And you're right. I watched that movie. You can't handle the truth. And he said, and now I can, yes, I can, and I can handle it. And what you have is what I need if I want to move forward. And I said, well, okay, if you say so, but when I get too hard, you have to have the courage to say, okay, stop. Well, he's been so funny because he'll do his speech and then he'll say, but there was good stuff in there, right, Sandra? Start with the good stuff. And so now he said, Sandra, I'm 62 and I've never been happier in my life. See, we did about the speaking, but really to get the authentic speaking coming out, we had to dig in to how he didn't get what he needed from his daddy. He didn't get the love. He never got the pat on. He was never good enough. You know, he was just his father was huge man in the world. So this poor guy, he's one of those millionaires that received the million, but he got arrested emotionally. And so he's my biggest fan now. He's just always saying, oh, Sandra, I even hired a couple of coaches in between down for $450 an hour. You outshine them. You do a lot better than they do. And you know why? Because I'm reaching into the heart. So how do I get to figure out who I am? So then people would say, no, Sandra, you're not brutal. I've never seen you try and hurt anybody. You're compassionate and you're straight. You're direct. And so became Coach Sandra, the compassionate queen of straight talk. So what does the compassionate queen of straight talk do for a business? Well, you can't, but they said, well, that's not an offer. That's not a business. I have battled around with this stuff for some time. So back, okay, I've got 40 years financial. I've got da-da-da-da-da-da. What do I bring forward for my offer? So I was talking to the guy that's doing my marketing. His mother had picked me up in Clubhouse and she just kept saying, Sandra, you're amazing. And I kept thinking, oh yeah, here we go again. You know, yeah, you're amazing. Just sign up for this course here. We can fix you. You know, wasn't that at all. I finally found people who are just from the heart. And she said, no, you really inspire me. You have this unusual slant, this unusual way of looking at life, and the way that you do things is just unique, and I'm getting it. Ah, Sandra's doing Sandra. I'm not trying to be anybody else, and it's amazing. Now I'm still making my offer. Well, what can you make for your offer? Okay, speak up with confidence, but I don't only do Toastmaster type training. That's not yet, that's a big part of it. If you're presenting, you need that speak up with confidence. But you know, I love living life full out forever. You don't want to be on the grandstand watching the game. You want to be in there playing the game full out, bloody nose and all, and just get up and go again. That's who it turns out I have been over all of my years. You know, I might sit back and cry on a rejection for a day or two, and then I think, well, I don't want to do this anymore, so I get up and go again. And that's why I've become who I am. I don't get stalled too very long anymore. And I think, oh, I guess they don't want to work with me. On to the next. I've learned so much from so many people. And so it was speak up with confidence. Yes, that will do for if you're speaking or presenting and so on. But what about all this other stuff I love to do, like get in there and live, show up. So that was the show up with confidence. And then stand up with confidence. So that speak up, show up, stand up, all of it came back to confidence. So I really am a coach in confidence using communication. All things in communication. So if you're going to speak up and you're going to connect with your audience, you're going to put out your work well, that's going to have to be done with confidence. How does that feel? So I'm finding that those portions of my offering are shorter. You know, so 6 weeks class, you really move along, and then you start to peel back and say, okay, now I want to go. Now I want to go deeper is going to get more into that deeper stuff. It's going to be about showing up in your business now. And standing up can be advocating for yourself, advocating for others. You stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And so you start on that. So that encompasses all of who I am. And now I can make an offer in my business around confidence and communication in all areas of your life. So whether it's money and emotions or finances and confidence, it won't matter. I can bring in all of my areas of expertise. Volunteering, I've volunteered all my life. And if you can manage volunteers, you're way ahead of the manager at work who's got a paycheck hanging over your head. So yeah, so volunteers, NGOs, it doesn't matter. It's life is amazing. And so that's been my journey to finding out who is Sandra, Coach Sandra, compassionate queen of straight talk. So what am I about? I am about speak up, show up, stand up with confidence, delivered by Coach Sandra, compassionate queen of straight talk.
Thank you, Sandra, for that. I mean, seriously, I think you're talking about being authentic and being who you are, show up as you are. Each of us have our unique gifts and talents, and just be who you really are. I think that's the bottom line. I've always been afraid of public speaking. And I think that's one of the reasons I created this platform here for all of us. I think because I think this is a teaching platform. We get to share and each person get to present. Sometimes when I ask somebody said, oh, I don't know how to speak. I said, show up as yourself. He said, I
Yep.
don't know what to talk about. I don't have any topic. I don't have any subject. I said, so what are you worried about right now? You talk about that. Whatever
Yep.
the topic is, you have a topic because each of us have our own reservation, our own challenges in life. I said, then bring that. That would be your topic. And that's exactly, and I think, so people don't have to be coming here week after week, the same person. We have different people sharing, and that's a way to build confidence, to help each other here. So we're supporting each other. So so I really appreciate what you were just sharing, and just being yourself is the best gift. So let's open it up for sharing from each of you here. Val, we'll start with Val. Thank you for that, Sandra, and for all of
That's
you
been
for
great.
being
Thank you.
here. Go ahead, Val.
Well, I would say that in my career, I didn't talk that much. So when it was time to put an end to it, or transitioning from it, how I'm gonna say, um, it's been a challenge. I cannot hide it. It's been a challenge. And then the pandemic over it, I'm very grateful with that we all met. So at least once, a couple of times a week, I'm in mastermind, and I enjoy sharing with other people and speaking Valerie.
That's right.
And I think it's social. It nourishes my social needs. About also talking things about personal development, which is, I we all need it, because like I was mentioning before we started recording, um, if we don't study, if we don't communicate what we've learned, and maybe have an impact on somebody else to improve the quality of their life, that's huge. So being here, just having the opportunity to speak whenever we want, we just call and say, I want to speak. And if you don't say, one day we had Omeka, and Omeka is big. Her drumming practice is very dear to her. So she drummed for 15 minutes. She didn't take the whole hour, because she didn't, after a half hour, she was done. And then we talked, And
Yes.
so I think that being able to speak and nourish our throat chakra is something that I'm daily working on these days, and making even more because I want to change my life also.
Mhm.
So I want to put myself in certain situation where I'm going to have to speak.
Mhm.
So by going, putting physically my body in that environment, I'm going to have to speak. And so it's going to be interesting to be continued.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Val. Yeah, I know. I've seen your growth just a couple of years. I don't know how long we've known each other here. You were one of the first one, probably almost 2 years now. But like each person here, I've asked each of you to present. Some of you have already presented. Some of you will be presenting soon. That was the purpose, is just that, to build confidence and just to, it's a good practice and it's among ourselves. This is a safe space to do that. So yes, thank you, Val. Suzanne, you're next.
Wow, Sandra, that was, I'm nodding my head continuously because everything you're saying, being in my mid 50s and learning who I was at 51 as an Aspie woman, and now that I've done such a huge study, I can't keep it in anymore because it's like, if I've learned at 51 who I really am and I've taken off the mask of trying to fit in, imagine all the other women who are out there in the 30s and 40s that are like, who am I? What am I doing? And why aren't I just like everybody else? And I'm like, and I even said to a 20-year-old when I left my last Starbucks job, I said, don't be afraid to be you. Be you. I said, if I had a mentor in her 50s, come back and say to me at 20, go out and be you, I would have been jumping for joy. I said, but at least I can give that gift to you because, if you don't get it, you want to give to others what, so that they can at least enjoy what you didn't have the ability. I was kept quiet for so long with my brothers that when I had the opportunity to talk, I couldn't shut up per se. But it was all valuable. I'm not saying I just talked to talk. I had something to say.
Yes. You're giving me goosebumps.
Oh, really?
Yes, because you are being so real, and the goosebumps are what we want to share. Just
Yeah.
be real, and it's amazing. I'm
I
working
pushed myself.
I'm working with people with English second language to smooth out their accent. It's not to get rid of the accent. It's just, they have an accent, so they need to make sure we can understand it. So it's enunciation and flow and bringing it together. But I love it. And when people connect with themselves, they give me goosebumps.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're in,
Thank you.
kid.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that. And I think that sometimes we're so self-conscious about ourselves and we worry about what other people think about us. But the truth is, people don't care about what about us. They care about themselves. So it's like, it's not about me, it's about you connecting with the audience. And I think sometimes we miss the boat on that. We were just focusing on ourselves. But
Well,
thank
I
you,
mean, you're
Suzanne.
mentioning that people are 98%. We are also the people. 98% of everything we choose to do and choose to think and choose to act on is all about ourselves. Even if it's about, I want to go out and serve others, that's about me. That's what I want to do.
True.
So it's not about people, it's about humanity, all of us. So once we get over that, I mean, they don't even care. 98% of it's about themselves. That little 2%, they're just going to say, oh my God, you had the nerve to open your mouth. Ah, way to go. I want to learn how to do that too.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Tamara, you're next. Coach Tamara.
Hello.
Hello.
So thank you for letting me talk. I feel like Suzanne, like as soon as I was able to start talking, I couldn't shut up. So. And now I've toned it down, so I'm not so, blah. Anyway, I love that. I love your authenticity, Sandra. You are, you're like, okay, so sometimes I can come off a little harsh. So that, hey, this might be a little tough for you to swallow, but you also know to warn people, like, okay, let me know. but it doesn't mean I'm going to calm down. Like, you know, I'm still going to tell you so that you can work through it, which is so imperative as a coach.
Mm.
And you know, because I've noticed, like, I would as a coach, I'd tone down what I'm saying and the person isn't getting it. And so I'm like, how do I make that communication clearer without seeming so harsh? And so, and I'm a really, really sweet, okay, I like to think of myself as a really sweet person. May not be, but I feel like I am. So when I'm talking to somebody and I go to like really dig into it, I feel like, oh, am I saying too much? And just listening to you today, I'm just like, no, I'm not. I'm not too much. This is what they need to dig down deep. And when my coach was talking to me and had to dig down deep, she wasn't apologetic for it. So yes, we do dig down there and find exactly what it is that's holding them back. And I love that you're doing that. And the Toastmasters, like, I had gone to a few Toastmasters meetings and they're like that. Like my very first one was like, and it was on Zoom. And so now I'm a little better on Zoom and I want to get up and stand up. So you're talking about going from this comfort zone to this comfort zone and having that confidence. And so I'm looking for a Toastmasters that's actually in person now. So I love everything you said. It just totally touched home. And I think we're all in agreement that anytime somebody's speaking, we take that in. It's like, because we're thinking about how to apply it in our own lives. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's, and I don't think it's selfish or self-centered. It's because we're trying to grow. We're trying to let our light shine. So thank you for bringing that to us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's very much the, when I'm at any kind of a meeting, a business meeting or other, like if I'm bored, like if they're boring me, shame on me. If they're boring me, my notes are now, why are they boring me? What's in it? What are they doing? Because I'm going to turn around and do the same thing. So it's not about, you know, those people that decide, oh, I don't have to hang around for this crap, you know, I'm leaving. What have they learned? They're going to get up and do the same thing. So if you're bored, start to analyze what's happening. How would it improve? You know, that's if you're bored. Now, if they're really engaging, which is what you're saying, your mind was engaged. When we're really engaged, yes, we're not taking it as gospel, what they say. We're saying, how does this fit in and resonate? Where does this fit with us? And so that's where very much the truth comes in. You take what you like. Now it's just what you like, but what's resonating, what's making a difference for you, and you leave the rest. And I have left some of the stuff in the rest when I wasn't ready for it. And that's come back maybe 20 years later. Oh, that was it. And it'll still be there. So yeah, take what you like and leave the rest, you know, that's all good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Tamara. Loveland, you're next.
Wow, thank you so much, Sandra. And by the way, thank you so much for the work you're doing in Uganda. I am originally from Uganda. That's why I clapped. Yeah. That's why I clapped.
Oh, I could connect you with the great work that we're doing. Oh my goodness, yes. They need.
I will be grateful. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the what you just said, actually, I actually connect with everything because I know how I have grown up and how I've developed to get to where I am today. Confidence is not something that we are born with. I think it's something that we develop along the way. And I like what you said, that we just have to be our authentic self. The moment you accept yourself that this is who I am, I think that is the starting point. It doesn't matter. Sometimes when I'm recording myself or giving a talk on something, sometimes I think like, will they really understand what I'm saying? But this is who I am. This is what you get. And that's it. And I've learned to accept that. And since I accepted that this is how I speak, I can't really fake myself and make myself be what I'm not supposed to be. That was when I broke through and I said to myself, this is who I am. Either you take it or you don't, but I am confident with who I am and I love it. So thank you so much. And I really loved what you said today.
More goosebumps I'm getting. I'm going to tell you, accents are mysterious and attractive. I mean, when I hear an accent, my mind goes off far away places with strange sounding names. You know, I love it. And your enunciation is great. It's not that I'm wondering about what you're saying. And that's the only concern I would have around accents. Am I clear and am I getting myself communicated through? And you're doing it and being authentic. Even as you're speaking, you're speaking thoughtfully. You're thinking about what you're going to say. You're taking your time. And so I love it. You are doing amazing. And yes, if you want to connect up and get involved with the work in Uganda, I've got 2 or 3 projects on the go there, but one that's really big. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Love, Lynn. But Sandra, about accent, I have a heavy accent, but hey, as long as you can understand it, it's all
Well,
good,
no,
right?
but yours is the same. Yes, it's a lovely accent, but your words are clear. There's no question about whether I'm hearing the word. That's all my concern is with an accent. We want to, you know, if you're saying, well, we'd have no idea what that was because of the broad accent. I'm working with a fellow right now that it's not sharp and clear. So it's not to get rid of his accent. It's just so I can hear the word and then we can communicate. So
Yes,
your
that's part of the
words
beauty
are
for
clear.
being diverse, right? So, but anyway, thank you for that. And Binta, you're next.
Hi, thank you so much, Sandra. I'm just sitting here, really being grateful to hear everything you're saying and all the wonderful work that you've been doing to make this world a better place. And thank you for your work in Africa because we just need that so much. And that is why, you know, for me anyway, that is what I am really like striving towards being able to do, to be able to contribute in the world and to make this world a better place, especially where I come from, because I'm from Gambia also. I'm from Gambia, West Africa. And you're talking about growing up in the farm. I grew up in the farm. My parents, you know, never had to buy anything from the city. Everything they fed us with everything we grew at the farm. So, and I grew up without a formal education. So throughout my life, up until a few years ago, literally in 2017, that's when my life changed. And I used to tell myself stories. You can't do this. You're not worthy. You are this, you're that. You don't have education. All the while not realizing that I have potential within me. It wasn't until I had somebody in my life who really saw something in me and my life changed. And speaking of confidence, I had to go through like I teach yoga, so I'm learning to teach yoga. And teaching yoga, you have to speak. You have to speak to your students and learn how to tell them to move this way or move that way. So for me, that is what I am. That is what I'm really like working towards. To speak with confidence. I didn't have the confidence to speak before, and this community here really helped me to get to learn to be where I am right now. And I'm still learning. It's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. Valerie here, this woman, the French woman who spoke, she's the one who brought me into this community. And when I met Valerie, it's a long story. She and I met at an opening for a studio, and that's how we connected. And ever since, my life has turned to so many directions now, and I'm just so grateful to be here. I was listening to this woman, I think Marianne Williamson. She has a book called Divine Compensation. And this quote, she said, spiritual growth involves giving up the stories of your past so the universe can write you a new one. And so that's resonated with me so much. So for me, I don't even think about me not having a formal education because I have so much. I am in the school of the earth. I am like in this Earth University. That's what I say. I'm constantly learning. I know so many things that I know that so many people don't know. So I am just so grateful, and I'm grateful that I'm surrounded by such powerful people like you all, and I have so many wonderful people in my life. And for me, what I'm learning how to do is practice speaking in front of people. And I'm constantly speaking and learning how to speak. I practice here by myself, and I learn to speak. When I teach yoga, I learn to speak. And now I am literally like having to force myself to like have people come join me at the park every weekend. I invite people that I don't know, to come to see me teach. And the more I do it, the more I see myself getting better. And I read the self-confidence formula from Napoleon Hill's book every day. And that book is like I'm drinking potion each time I read it. It's really like, it really pushes, I don't know. And like he said, there's something about this law that no man can explain. The important thing is that it works, and it's true. This formula, I read it constantly every day. And each time I read it, it's like something is just lifting me up. And it's about believing, having faith, knowing that you are guided. I am guided always. I am guided. And I'm just so grateful. Each day I ask for guidance, and I'm so grateful. And I write my journals, and I'm grateful for what I have. And the more I'm grateful, the more I keep things coming, the more I see things coming.
Binta,
So I'm grateful.
Binta,
Thank you so much.
Binta,
Yes.
you could take that talk, exactly what you've done right here, and take it to the local churches and inspire the women's group, inspire people at the church groups.
Yeah.
You gave me goosebumps. You know exactly who you are, and the confidence is there. Could you imagine telling somebody how to make a pose or a move in yoga and not speaking confidently? Well, I think you want to put your arm over here. Well, maybe you should put it over here. Like that just wouldn't work. They want to know that you know what you're talking about, and you say, move this arm here, do this here. That's your job as the yoga teacher. So when we step into our work, there's no lack of confidence, because if you don't know, then you shouldn't be there. Right? So if you know it, you do it. Your talk is ready to go. That's your talk. And both of you, from the African side of it, if you want to get involved, part of what we're awakening in the community there, because Ronald was working only with the children. I've got 260 children. I refuse to call them orphans in poverty. They are children who deserve an education. They, so he's raising them. Well, here's this poor young man, 28 years old. When I first met him, I said, oh my God, you're just a young pup. No, ma'am, I'm 28. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm 75. So he made me laugh. Well, we are so bonded now, a year and a half, 2 years later. And so anyhow, I said, if you're asking me for $50 a month, go away. I'm not interested. $50 and then I die next week, or I don't send you the money next month. What did that do for the kid? They got 1 month of school. Like, go away. If you want to learn something, okay. Oh, he says, don't let me go away. I want to learn from you. And a lot of them just go away, but he refused to go away because he's dedicated to these children. So we got talking, and I said, and what about the grandmothers? And he said, oh yes, we have to take care of them too. They have no pension, they have no. I said, stop it right now. I said, you go find those grandmothers. You're going to find 3 or 4 or 5 of them. You'll see the leaders in them. And you bring them to a meeting. So we've had a few meetings on Zoom, which is great. It's not that I'm sending a bunch of money. I don't have a bunch of money to spend. And what would it do anyhow? So anyhow, he brought in 3 or 4 grandmothers, and then his own team. He's very industrious. He's brilliant. And he had his team. So we had a meeting on Zoom. And I said, the grandmothers, I said, we ain't dead yet, are we? No, we are not. And they'd have to translate a little bit. No, we ain't dead. We need to be able to get up and use our hands. We need the support. And I said to Ronald, if you support the grandmothers getting together, then the grandmothers who are looking after a whole bunch of these children, the children will also rise up. So that's what we've got. We've got now instantly a Grannies Youth Group project.
Awesome.
And the grannies sent back to me through Ronald that thank you so much for remembering us, remembering the grandmas, and our mouths had been muted. That gave me goosebumps. The grandmothers had been silenced, and they're not that old. Grandmothers are grandmothers at 50 and up.
Yeah.
And so their mouths had been muted. I have sent them, I think, $200. And I said, this is specifically for the grannies as a group to come together for a project. They've been looking at their projects. They're thinking probably a couple pigs, because the pigs will have piglets and the piglets will grow quickly. And then they'll be able to not only have meat for themselves, but also sell and get that project. They're starting to do planting in sacks, which I never would have thought about. But I said, you get the seeds. And my daughter came in on the meeting and she said, yes, if each family has something special that they can grow and they get really good at that, then you share, you know, so somebody's really good with tomato plants and somebody else is really good with whatever plants, you know, and then the community shares them together. So we have awakened the community. They're all excited and they're going to raise themselves up with very little money. We've gotten them a projector. I've been explaining to them about homeschooling, because I said, out of those 260 children, I think he's got maybe 50 or 60 of them sponsored. Well, the others don't. I said, you get them together, you know, there's a projector, you teach them. If they get the reading, writing, and arithmetic, and you know what the curriculum is, then you can send them to write their exams, but they don't need to be in school. I was there. I've had a family, I'm their Canada mom, an Ethiopian family. I helped bring them over 17 years ago. And when I'm old and gray, well, older and grayer, and I need a place, I'll be living with them, because I'll be their grandma that, you know, they want me.
Yes,
and so I'll be in their home. But yes, we can do so much with very little. And it's not about, can we send them money? And no, stop it, raise them up. And so I'm happy to connect on any of that. I'm just so, well, I'm excited. I'll shut up.
Thank you so much.
We're top of the hour.
Yeah, we're at the top of the hour. So, but thank you so much. We need to close, but so grateful, Sandra, for your great share, and Suzanne, Binta, Lovelyn, and Tamara, and of course Val, who already left because she has to work. But so grateful for all of you. Continue this amazing conversation. All of you inspire me. That's why I love this group. So with that, Binta wanted to say something, and then we'll close. Go ahead, Binta.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm just grateful. Thank you so much. And I hope we get to see you here often, Sandra. So very, very grateful. And otherwise we can connect on Facebook, you know, we're here.
Yeah, I'm easy to find on Facebook. My name is, there are not too many of us, only one. And also as a request, I know this is recorded and you'll be sharing the recording. Am I allowed also to use this on my, in my work?
To do this, say that again.
Am I allowed to use this recording as part of my own work as well?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
mind.
I'll send you the link, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
This is wonderful, because I love doing this kind of sharing work. And I think that needs to also be a big part of Coach Sandra.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. See you guys next week. Is it Laughlin next week? I'm trying to remember. Oh no, maybe not you. Oh, is it? Anyway, I'll be posting who will be hosting next week. But thank you again, all. Really appreciate all of you. Love you guys. See you next week. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.